And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So the MSU Research Foundation has been at the forefront of fostering Michigan startups for years. They've recently announced a new investment in East Lansing, and here to discuss what that means and why it's important is the Director of Research Parks, Mr. Jeff Smith. Welcome back to the show, Jeff.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. It's been too long. I was looking at the last time you were in. It's been a couple of years. And
has it?
You've got, I think you've got the best news of all of the shows you've been on before. So I'm excited to unpack all of this. So, can you give us a quick rundown for those not familiar of what is the foundation? What's your mission?
Yeah, the MSU Research Foundation is a separate nonprofit organization from the university focused on economic development, innovation, and venture creation on behalf of the university for the state of Michigan.
So how exactly do you deploy services to that ecosystem? Yeah,
so we have venture creation, venture studio, venture acceleration, venture funding, real estate, and economic development services within the foundation. We're about 50 staff strong. Our offices are primarily in Lansing, but we have offices in Grand Rapids and Detroit as well. And what we're really focused on is if there's an idea germinating with an innovation focus, how do we provide more support and resources to help that thing grow into a real full-blown company?
And that's as competitive for the state of Michigan, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And would you say that your endeavor is semi-unique, or do you have kind of counterparts around the country that do?
There are others. Yeah. So Purdue has a research foundation with research parks included. Even Wayne State. Wayne State has a economic development focus, and Techtown is their kind of quote-unquote research park from that perspective. But there are others of us. There's probably 116 across the country.
Okay.
And we are fairly unique to Michigan. We've been around for over 50 years, but it's probably been in the last 10 to 12 that things have really started to catch on.
Right on. And the goal, like I mentioned earlier, is to not have these ideas that have hatched here in Michigan leave the state to go grow somewhere else.
Yes, we definitely want to continue to garden, allow those companies to grow naturally, accelerate them when we can. And if they do fail faster so that they could pivot and turn into what they need to be. Or if they, actually hit some strides and grow, we want them to grow as fast as possible with as many resources as possible in the spaces that make the most sense for them to grow.
Right on. Okay. So research parks and your role with research parks. Talk a little bit about what that is.
Yeah. So think of real estate plus. So it's resources, equipment, space designed and catered around allowing early stage companies to grow organically or without a significant amount of risk. So these are 50 to 100 square feet spaces, up to 10,000 square foot of space. They're wet labs, they're high bay, they're research oriented. They might include things like hoods and, lab equipment. They might include engineering related resources. It's really designing spaces and places to accommodate the company's growth, and then doing that in a clustered region so that those things can connect to each other, collide with one another, and start creating this kind of its own ecosystem. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish here in Lansing.
Right. Because, a lot of the equipment, wet labs, right? That's got to be monumentally expensive. And hopefully there's equipment that can kind of fit a lot of different types of startups.
Yeah.
But to ask the startup to have that lift to buy all that equipment for something that's just fledgling
absolutely
is undoable. Right?
It's really difficult.
Right.
So for early stage companies, capital is king. We try to let their capital be focused on things like customer acquisition and revenue generating efforts. But we do that exactly what you're describing. We try to find those high common denominator items that a lot of companies can use, leverage those, turn those into resources for all the companies. And then it's a shared resource, a shared cost. It's much more attainable and affordable for those companies. Now they can use those dollars in the more logical spots instead of just on equipment and rent.
And one thing I think that's a little undersung or undersold is the mentorship, right? You have people that have successfully scaled businesses that are helping these fledgling companies kind of learn how to look around corners, not make common mistakes or whatever. And then there's also peer-to-peer mentoring too, right? I think having these people kind of in these research parks and in common spaces is almost like intangible gold.
It is. It is. Those serendipitous moments where something innovative comes from two conversations or a conversation between two people. We try to make that happen on a regular basis. So it's intentional serendipity, I guess is what you would call it. Because it is where innovation is coming from. That peer-to-peer, the mentorship, and just a shoulder to lean on for various reasons. It could be, I've never figured out HR, or we're still trying to figure out, a pathway for our staff to connect in and be a part of our company without having to be here. All of these little things that stack up to operating a company, one or two people have to do that. And so dividing that among a community is, you start to see that the community operates like a company itself. So that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish.
That's fantastic. Well, before we unpack the big announcement, I want to thank our friends at Good Marketing. Here at Michigan Reimagine, we tell stories of passionate Michiganders doing great things across the state. Today's podcast sponsor, Good Marketing, helps organizations tell their stories in powerful and measurable ways. As a behavior change accelerator, Good partners with mission-driven clients to inspire action, shift mindsets, and strengthen communities. From advancing affordable housing to protecting natural resources, expanding education and workforce opportunities, their work moves Michigan forward. See how they're helping shape Michigan's future at goodmarketing.com. That's GUD marketing.com. So you have a big announcement. You've got a development project that is getting ready to get launched. So talk a little bit about the Rosenberg Center.
Yeah. So this is many years in the making. We have been providing space and place for companies for the last 10 to 15 years. And the more we find demand increasing, the less available space we have to meet that demand. And what we're also seeing is that corporate innovation partners want to be close to the university. They want to have that line of sight to talent or research or whatever it might be. So the Rosenberg Center is a kind of a next step evolution for what we're trying to provide. We've gone from about 45,000 square feet, and this will be about 70,000 square feet. The Rosenberg Center is named after Barney Rosenberg. Invented cisplatin, was a faculty at Michigan State. That cisplatin cancer drug ended up being a blockbuster cancer drug. The proceeds of that helped seed the Research Foundation. And so this is kind of an homage to, Barney Rosenberg, but also kind of identifying that this is kind of what we're hoping to create is some sort of a flywheel, that who's the next Barney Rosenberg to come along and create this next ecosystem for the next group of people. The opportunity that we see is, building a new construction, brand new building, the cost is prohibitive, right? Capital's expensive, construction costs are high, materials are on delay. What we're seeing as an opportunity is take an existing underutilized building, add on it, put a brand new addition to it, renovate the inside, turn it into what we want it to be as a multi-tenant building, and our costs become much more attainable. And so the Rosenberg Center is going to be the old MSU FCU / IBM building on the south end of campus. We closed on the building last week, so it is officially official. We are already signing tenants. We have about 70% of the building is full already.
Wow!
And so, what we're really hoping is that this becomes an innovation hub for our region. There will be an event space to allow for innovation-related activities to happen in this facility. And we're really hoping that this becomes an innovation hub.
Wonderful. So now 70,000 square feet is hard to just generally imagine. I think about the new TechSmith building that was built on the southwest side of campus by Trowbridge. How big of a building is that?
That is actually 62,000 square feet.
Okay.
So it's a good comparison. It's going to be slightly larger than TechSmith building, which we also developed and own and operate, and grateful for TechSmith being on campus. What we're really hoping to do is create an innovation district in that kind of cluster around TechSmith and the Rosenberg Center, and that this becomes a little bit of a torch to a flame to more development that could come that way and bring in, more companies that are doing business with the university or from the region.
Well, I mean, in just general economic development terms, success begets success, right?
Yeah,
you create density of like-minded, whether it's a cluster of restaurants, cluster of housing, or cluster of research parks or district, innovation district is a good way to go, right? Priming the pump. So putting your money where your mouth is. So 70,000 square feet is no joke. So what are the different uses going to be? You talk about multi-tenants. Like, who are these tenants going to be? The startups aren't going to sign 30-year leases.
No, they're not. No, they're not. And what they do is they sign 6-month leases at a time. Yep. And what we end up seeing is tenants stay about 3 years total. Yep. And then they move on to bigger and better spaces to accommodate their needs, or they transition to something else. No, these are companies that are signing 5- and 10-year leases. We're in the throes of 2 significant ones right now. I'm not too premature on this, but Fraunhofer USA would be one of them. Fraunhofer is the largest research institute in the world. They have offices in 70 different locations across the globe. Their USA headquarters is going to be located in East Lansing, which is a huge opportunity for our region. They'll bring a couple dozen staff with them, which is not a ton, but it's the presence of having that company here and doing business with the university that's going to make a big difference for us. Fraunhofer's already had a coatings division in MSU or at MSU for decades. This is bringing their actual operations to this region.
I feel like that has been discussed for the last decade.
It's finally here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. I think when I first met you, it was being discussed that they were going to do something
I
like
might have been saying it.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And now, are your offices moving to this building as well?
Yep. So we have about, like I said, about 50 staff. Some are located in different markets. So we'll have about 20 to 30 staff at all times in the building. We'll take about 10,000 square feet of space in the building. Yep. It's primarily office, which is, you'd think, okay, there's plenty of office in the region. We're not looking to cannibalize, pull office from another part of Lansing and take that tenant over. That's not really our focus. Our focus is on taking the companies that are growing and give them a little bit more space to allow them to grow a little bit further in the area. So we'll have mostly office. There will be the data center staff of MSU will be in the building. Some of MSU's innovation center team. So MSU Business Connect, MSU Technologies, their tech transfer office, and then the innovation center team. And then we're likely going to have some credentialed space. So think top secret type of activity happening in the building at some point or another. Wow. That's what we're really aiming for.
Nice. Okay. And so how much of this space is going to be actual startups?
Yeah, I would say probably a third of it. So we're going from about 6,500 square feet of space available for startups to about 12,000. So nice. Yeah, it's going to be 12 to 15,000 square feet of space available for startup companies.
Now, I also read that mass timber is a component of this construction project. Talk a little bit about what mass timber is and why it's important for this particular project.
So glad you mentioned it. MSU is actually a center of excellence for mass timber. There's 2 individuals, actually there's quite a few individuals at MSU that are experts in the field. 2 in particular, Sandra Lupi and George Berkhorn, are world renowned in the field. We have really been trying to find a way to incorporate mass timber in any project that we're doing, just as a demonstration site. And so this is finally that opportunity. So the front end of the building, if anybody's been over to it, they used to have old bank tellers from when it was MSU FCU. Those teller windows and that pull-through is going to actually come off the building, and we're going to take and put in an 8,000 square foot 2-story addition on the building that's mass timber. And we have received some grant funding, nominal but significant at the same time, to use that as a demonstration site. So what we're really hoping is that we draw a lot of mass timber interest back into the university.
So what is the value of mass timber for those unfamiliar? I did have Sandra on once and talked about mass timber a couple of years ago, but it's been a minute. So why is mass timber important and why is MSU leaning into it?
Yeah, it's carbon storage. It's got a renewable element to it because you're basically taking fast growth timber and allowing it to become part of the construction process. That timber could then be taken off and used in different ways once the building goes through another, reuse 20 or 30 years from now. That's really what we're hoping, is that this stores the timber in a way that can be leveraged and utilized over and over again as it progresses in time. ultimately, there's a cost and a savings associated with it. The cost is it's a little more expensive. It's a fairly, it's not new, but it's a newer construction technology. The savings is the air quality, the natural beauty of it, the speed at which you can put the building together. Most of the design work happens before the timber even gets there. So it's all cut and drilled and spliced and put together well before it gets there. So the speed at which you can install these things is much faster than a regular steel beam.
Right on. Okay. Well, talking about environmental benefits, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Triterra. Triterra is a leading environmental consulting firm headquartered in Lansing, Michigan, with staff around the state to serve your brownfield development, environmental consulting, and natural resource management needs. Since 2008, Triterra has been successfully advising a wide range of organizations to implement solutions to complex environmental challenges. If you're a business, a developer, a property owner, lending institution, attorney, or governmental entity looking for a solution and you want prompt and timely service, don't hesitate to contact my friends at Triterra. Led by CEO and visionary Don McNabb and leaders JP Buckingham and Dave Van Haren, and this being supported by dozens of technical experts you can't miss by calling Triterra at 517-702-0470 or visit them at triterra.us. So I read a very aggressive timeline for this project. Maybe I misread it, or maybe it's further out than I think it is, but did I see a 2027 completion date on this?
It is aggressive, that is for sure. And like I said in the beginning, this has been a couple of years in the process, so there's been a lot of legs underwater along the way.
Yep.
We're hoping to move some activity back in the building even before the end of this year. Construction will start in the next week and a half. So we are in July of 26. By October, November, we have a tenant planning to move in. So we're doing a refresh in some of the building, which is nice because it's an existing building. It's got good bones.
Yep.
And then we're doing some pretty significant rearrangement of the rest of the building. And so we're anticipating a spring of 27 completion. So you'll be there.
Right on. I would love to be there. Now I understand certainly more that it is a retrofit of an existing building, an addition building on. You talked about mass timber. Like a lot of the work is done, ahead of time and then just kind of assembled on site. So that all lends to speed.
It does.
Which is great. And you guys are known for speed. Seriously.
We
that's
definitely try to.
And everyone benefits from that. So, I'm still a little fuzzy exactly where this is. Where in proximity to TechSmith is this?
Yeah, so it's north of TechSmith on the opposite side of the street. So there are existing buildings in the Spartan Village area.
Yeah.
So Spartan Village is on the south end of campus, but just north of the Forest Acres Golf Course.
Okay.
On Harrison Road, Crescent Road crosses Harrison east and west. So on the east side of Crescent Road, you'll find it at 195 Crescent Road.
Got it. Okay.
And, it's a very short walking distance to the Amtrak station. So anybody wanting to shoot over to Chicago for the weekend, the staff can do that or walk over and take advantage of some of the retail that's at the Trowbridge area. We're really hoping that, East Lansing starts to see themselves as a both and community, and it is an all downtown, but it's this much more dynamic community,
right?
That includes the northern tier and everything else.
Right, got it. Okay, so south of the new rec center that came in.
Yes.
Okay, and north of Trowbridge.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, I got to drive that a little bit more deeply. I don't know that side of campus.
Yeah,
which is going to change.
It will
now
change.
that we've got all this coolness going.
Yeah, definitely.
Wonderful. What haven't I asked you that the world needs to know about this project?
I think for us, this is maybe 10 years in the making of all the different stages that have gotten there. I made mention of it a couple weeks ago. I think innovation in infrastructure, the ecosystem is just beginning. And I think the more we can start to invest in resources, and it doesn't have to be $1 million resources, this can be really incremental steps to get there, the more we'll see this community grow in a natural and organic way. The university's been here 150 plus years. Mm-hmm. We're finally starting to see some of these innovation activities really start to take hold. And it's only been in the last 10 that's happened. So I think we're only getting started.
Well, you and your leadership team are just world beaters anyway. And the energy and the effort that you put in and the omnipresence that you all bring. And so I personally follow you guys closely on LinkedIn. And love to see all the announcements and the saturation of the state of Michigan. You have something going on up in Traverse City as well, don't you?
There's activity all over the state. Every smart zone in the state.
That's just fantastic. Really love hearing the stories. We've been speaking with the Director of Research Parks, Mr. Jeff Smith from the Michigan State University Research Foundation. Really appreciate you coming in here and sharing the story.
I appreciate you having me.
Is there a way to, I mentioned LinkedIn, but is there any other places where people can kind of follow along?
Absolutely. MSUFoundation.org and then /Rosenberg Center. You'll also find any news available on that same website, MSUFoundation.org. And you'll be able to subscribe and get a flood of new information every week if you want it.
Right on. I do, and I love it. So I recommend everyone click that button. So thanks for joining me, Jeff.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. And I'd love to give a final shout out to all the loyal sponsors. We've got Wagoner Financial, Good Marketing, Triterra Environmental, Keller Williams Advantage and Team, Michigan Rise, Kirk Byron State Farm, and the attorneys at Foster Swift. All great people doing excellent work. And if you found the show as a one-off, I want to remind you to follow and subscribe to Michigan Reimagined everywhere you find your podcasts. This is Chris Buck signing off for Michigan Reimagined.